Well, another week, another Monday, another Fanzone, another pile of crap we've all had to watch. What do you say? What do you want to say? It's your show. The next 30 minutes is everything you guys want to talk about. So join me, get your views in, get your comments in. Let me know what you want to talk about. Where do we go next? What is the point? Enough is enough. I want your views. I want your comments. Let me know. How are you feeling?
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.
Yes, good evening and welcome to the Monday Fanzone show. Now, my name's Phil. If you're watching this live, of course, you can get your comments in just as we always do. Richie, good evening, says, I missed you last week. Let's look to the future for Leicester City after this season. Robert says, totally agree. Enough is enough. Mary, good evening to you. How are you? Mark says, what an absolute shite show once again. Alex, good evening. Craig, Rob Grace, good evening. Rob just says King Power out. I'm definitely not King Power out, Rob, but I do definitely want to know what's going on. Andy, good evening to you. Get your views in, get your comments in. Alex says, Saturday was woeful and embarrassing. I've heard from two people. Rumour is Top is looking for a new buyer, says Alex in there. Well, that's an interesting state of affairs if that's what's going on. Let me know if you know any more about that. Keep your comments coming in. Good evening, Terry. Hope you're well. Jane says, what an absolutely gutless performance. I agree with you in there. Ian the Super Fox says, good evening. Can we tell Brighton to do one? Obviously, telling to play Bonatin. That's the only reason he's come on as a sub in there. Do you agree with what Ian is saying in there? Or do you think not? I don't know. Terence says, let's have a realistic vote on who we want for a manager, says Terence. Well, listen, Terence, I've got something for you because I am quite frankly sick of watching virtually all the players out there on the pitch. I'm sick of watching Rude. My big question is, what's the point? Now, this is just for you lot who are watching live tonight. I am available for Saturday. I've got my kit on. I've got my Bobby Dodd. Look. Do you know what? I think I'd put a better effort in than most of them. I'd rather watch me run around there. I'd rather watch you run around. I'd rather watch the young kids run around. I don't care if we lose 5-0 against Southampton, because trust me, we could. But what I would like to see is some effort. So, Rude, if you're watching, 53-year-old, but I tell you what, I'll put in more effort than most of those players. In fact, virtually all of them. I'm never going to include Jamie Vardy in that. But name me any other players who put any in. I know you're probably all loving this. Don't worry. That's only for special occasions. Mark says, took a point off any team in the top 8. Tony, we haven't took a point off virtually anybody, let alone the top 8. Mark says, nice legs. I'll pull a muscle out doing that. But I tell you what, that's more effort than I've seen most weeks on Saturdays. So, yeah, I'm there. Gary says, love it. Nice shorts. Yeah, thank you. I don't care. I'd rather see the young kids out there putting a shift in. I'd rather see you, Gary, out there, even if you can't kick a ball. I'd rather watch Nick, who's clicked in. Thank you. I'm going to get him on in a minute. I'd rather see a team of fans out there get annihilated by Southampton, because at least I see what's going on. But this, Terry says, Stanley Matthews. Yeah, I don't care. I can do a bit of that. I don't mind being an idiot, Terry. But what I'd like to see is a bit of effort out there. I totally agree with Jane. She says, I feel for Vardy. It would be great send-off for him to get 2 goals. I feel so sad for him out there. I don't think that was a penalty at all on Saturday. I don't know if you guys thought it was a penalty. I thought it was Jamie Vardy at his finest, putting his foot in there. If you watch it in slow-mo, he literally puts his foot into the keeper on purpose. I just don't know what's gone on. Tom's making me laugh. The club have just offered you 150 grand a week. I'd pay. Last time I played on the King Power Stadium, Tom, I had to pay 100 quid to get 45 minutes. Fans, we arranged a fans match. We paid as fans to play on the pitch. They just don't get it. They just don't get it, do they? Keith says it's like watching a young Benny Hill. I can do it again. LCFC Gray says, Saints will beat us. Great. Honestly, I spoke to Reedy earlier on today and I said, what do we do if Southampton actually beat us? Because I haven't got much hope at all about us beating Southampton in there at all. Roots took 4 points in half a season. 17 defeats out of 19, Tony. 17 defeats out of 19, and that guy is still running the club. It's a bit of a joke in here. Terry says, no way was it a penalty. Simon's just asking, is Rude sacked yet? Is Top waiting until we lose against Southampton? I don't know. I can only assume, Simon, he's waiting until it's the end of the season. But what is the point? Just literally, what is the point? I'm going to have Nick in now, who's joined. Don't forget, if you want to click on the link, you absolutely can do. I'm just going to share the link. Nick, good evening to the show. Nick.
Hello, mate. Are you all right?
Not really, no, because I'm absolutely sick of watching gutless wonders run around, and that's why I'm offering Rude my services. I'm ready. You've got your shirt on, Nick. I've got my shirt on. I'd rather watch you.
You can't be any worse than Daka up top, so you'll be all right there.
I'd rather watch you, Nick. I'd rather watch you be rubbish, Nick, or me be rubbish, and actually look like we want to do it.
Yeah, but that's the difference, though, Phil. People like yourself, me, and the people in the comments would give their right arm, right legs to wear the Fox in front of 30,000 people at the King Power. The players are so pampered with luxury. They don't care. All they're bothered about is their wage. That's all they're bothered about. All right for them. They've gone to Centre Parks today at the Seagrave, and they've probably been playing in the pool in the nice warm weather.
They've not actually been Centre Parks, have they?
Well, let's be fair. Seagrave is a glorified Centre Parks.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So I get it, Nick. Sorry, I'm a bit slow. I'm a bit old, but I'm still probably more effort than most of them.
It's just like the title says, it's a bit of a shit show, isn't it? It's shocking.
Yeah,
it really, really is.
Nick, I mean, I'm joking, but then I'm not, because I don't know what to do in tonight's show, because I genuinely, I've never ever got to the point watching Leicester City where I go, what is the point? What was the point for the Leicester fans going to watch at Wolves? What is the point in going and watching at home against Southampton on Saturday? Because even Rude's not even putting in the youngsters. He says, I'm going to look to the future now. And he gives Monga 6 minutes. It's just, I can't see.
He's just looking to get sacked. But the problem is, we're not going to sack him until the new PSR year starts, which will be like the 1st of July. And that's all he's doing. You can't believe a single word that comes out of that man's mouth. What was he saying at early doors? Oh, I'd rather the style over substance rubbish he was coming out with. He's not got a particular way he plays. He'd rather win ugly and this, that, and the other.
But I mean,
I haven't seen any of that.
Nick, Anne says this, and this is the bit that gets me. Anne says they don't even want to make an effort. It's depressing to watch. Andy Roberts says it's been a shambles all season. Look at the players and manager. We're going to really struggle in the Championship. Do we know there is parachute payment has been earmarked for players? We don't know, but Andy says it's going to be rough. J.A. Mills says that holiday camp, that Seagrave in there, not happy with that. Carlos, thanks for watching. Carlos says, I don't, and again, I understand Carlos is going to say what I've been struggling with again today and over the weekend. Carlos says, I don't want to go to the Southampton game. I can't remember. Well, the last goal we scored, Carlos, was December the 8th. I'm afraid I do know that. December the 8th, that last minute goal against Brighton. Nick, I don't want to go on Saturday.
Then don't go. As silly as it sounds, don't go. Don't sell your tickets. The more people that do it and the more empty a stadium is, I'm not being funny. They've got to take notice and look around. You can't be that bloody stupid and realise, well, hang on a second. We'd normally get 28, 29,000 for a game against Southampton, probably. Oh, it's about 19. So where's the 10,000 gone? You know, it's the only way it's gonna sort of, people have got to start making an impact on it. Stop, buying the tickets, stop buying the merchandise. Yes, okay, it might do the club damage in the long run, but points need to be made that us as fans are getting sick and tired of the way the club's being run, the way the fans are treated. Let's not forget, at the start of this season, we were charged 25 quid for a physical season ticket card
Yeah.
just because people didn't want them on the phones. It's ridiculous.
Larry says everybody, and I mean everybody, is moaning. I think you're right, Larry, but nobody is listening at the club. Phil Upton, hope you're well. Phil says Rude needs a shopping list approach like Brendan Rodgers' scribble. Finley says Leicester are down again. See you guys where you belong. I take it Finley might be a Forest fan or a Derby fan.
It's all right, though. They're going to choke, though, Phil. So they choked
I'd
yesterday, didn't they?
Yeah, I'd love it if Forest, obviously they've already blown the FA Cup now, but if they were to blow Champions League, all this marvellous season, they'd have literally nothing to show for it. But
the only thing that would make this season a little bit better for me, Phil, would be the fact that they choked in the semi-final. Vardy gets his 2 goals against them at the City ground to get his 200, and then that bottles them for the Champions League. I think that would be brilliant send-off for Vardy.
Well, it'd be better than nothing. Listen, Aggie, and well done, by the way. Aggie won the Pucker Prize competition for guessing that the number 24 shirt was worn by Anthony Knockaert. Love to have Anthony Knockaert in that team now. He wouldn't stand for this crap. But Aggie says here, Nick, and I understand what Aggie's saying here. Support the team through the good times and the bad. And Aggie, you're a bit younger than me, maybe, Aggie, but I don't know. I have done that. I've done it all through I've never, Aggie, honestly, watched Leicester ever since 1976. I've watched utter rubbish, but I never, I've watched rubbish players, but Nick, I've never watched players who just they're not even phoning in a performance. They're literally not bothered. I listened, Nick, earlier to Owen on Radio Leicester do his 6 o'clock fans forum. And he said his commentary, which I hadn't heard of the match, was he ended the match by saying Wilfred Ndidi is asking the ref to blow the full-time whistle.
Yeah, this says everything you need to know. I mean, like you said, you've been going down since when you've been going down, but I've been going down since '89. I saw the pleat years. I saw the the administration days where we're all putting loose change in to keep the club afloat. League One, I don't expect my team to win week in, week out. I don't, but what I do expect is if you're playing on the pitch, you give everything you got and you fight and you scrap and stuff like that. We haven't seen that this season. I don't think it's too much to ask either, especially with the money they're earning, Phil. People like Danny Ward on 50,000 a week. It's disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, Chris from Leicester Till I Die says, is this the worst we've been in our lifetime? Chris, it's obviously not the worst. It's not the worst team. It's not the worst position we've ever been in. We've been relegated many times from the top division to the second division. Obviously that's happened before, but I genuinely think I've often said that Jermaine Beckford away at Peterborough was a low point for me when under Nigel Pearson, he couldn't be bothered to go up for a last minute corner. And I was like, wow, what one lazy player. But I'm afraid, if I was honest now, we've got 5, 6, 7, 8 players, Nick. I'm trying to think who, I'd probably let Jamie Vardy off the hook. I'm struggling to look at the starting 11 on Saturday and let many others off the hook.
I don't think I could do the same, to be fair. I think Luke Thomas was probably the only one who could take away and say, you know what, he did all right. But the rest of them, no. And, like, I can't remember who it was who said, is this the worst we've ever been? No, Chris, I think it was. No, it's not the worst, but it's the worst feeling that I can remember in a hell of a long time. Even getting relegated to League One against Stoke didn't feel as bad as what we're going through.
Well, they cared that day, Nick. They actually cared.
Exactly.
They were crap, But they
And that was
care.
probably our lowest point going down to League One. But I tell you what, that team that we had when Holloway sent us down, at least they fought and scrapped on that day. And, they tried. This lot don't try. That's all. And some of them are internationals. That's the scary thing.
Yeah. I mean, Aggie comes back, and I get it, Aggie. Aggie says, so did I, but I'll be at the 4 remaining games. And Aggie, of course, that's fantastic to be loyal like that. I don't feel I'm any less loyal than you, Aggie, or whatever. I'm just debating. I'm going to use my hard-earned money to treat the kids to something instead of paying it into the coffers of people who are earning ridiculous money while the rest of us cough, sweat, and struggle to pay an electricity bill. That's the difference, Aggie, that I'm feeling at the moment.
What Aggie needs to ask himself is, will the owners care whether the people, fans in general, have got of the view of Aggie where he'll be there regardless, or like yourself where you're like, you know what, I'm not going to go. So I don't think they do care. I think it's got progressively worse season on season since Fisher's gone.
Well, Tony says here they're mugging you off, Aggie. I've got 4 season tickets, Nick, and obviously 4 seats for Saturday. Me, my lads. I don't know. Maybe it makes more of a statement if those seats are empty. I'm
That's
not.
what
I'm not
trying to say.
encouraging people to do it. I'm just being honest.
I think it will make a
I've
statement.
already paid for them.
I think it's, personally honest, I think it make more of a statement than a plane flying over a stadium, and it will make more of a statement than the protest march. That, let's be fair, the route they took, most people walk into that way to the ground anyway. Empty seats, merchandise size sales, decreasing. Stop doing it. Stop putting money into their coffers because they don't care about you. I mean, okay, you get a stale donut and a rubbish bottle of Chang every so often. Is it really worth it? I don't think it is.
I'm not encouraging anybody not to go. I'm not saying I'm not going. I'm just saying being genuine with people and saying I don't know what the point is, because it kind of, if we beat Southampton on Saturday, so what? I hope we do, of course, but so what? It's far too little, too late. I hope Jamie Vardy gets his 2 goals, but if he doesn't, he doesn't. Again, we gave Jamie Vardy the big send-off last year, so I feel, Nick, I don't know about you, but I feel like the club's kind of, and this is an honest question to everybody watching this, I kind of feel like the club's trying to mug off the fans with the fact Jamie Vardy's leaving, with all these posts about Jamie Vardy, give him the send-off he deserves and all that. I kind of feel like the club's kind of taking us for muppets, that we'll just go, Jamie Vardy, great, we must, whatever. It's like blindsiding us from what's going on.
Phil, it's funny how the Ipswich game sold out after all the posts and stuff like that were going up on social media on the day Vardy announced his retirement. That doesn't prove that they don't care, and all they're bothered about is getting more money out of us. Nothing else will. And you're doing it to a legend. I think we can all agree that Vardy deserves a statue outside the ground, or even potentially renaming one of the stands after him. Call it the Jamie Vardy stand or whatnot. They'll never do it. They'll never do it at all. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Tony says it's already worked. Phil, Ipswich sold out. Yeah, I know it has it in there. Terry's saying surely won't be a parade at the last game. I don't know.
People still do it though, Phil. People still clap them off.
To be fair, if you ask me, and I'm making this up on the spot, pretty much all the players and Rude can just trudge off like they always do anyway. And please just leave Jamie Vardy out there and his family and his friends. And I believe a lot of the old players he's played with are coming back to cheer him on for the last game. Let them out on the pitch. I'd rather see some of them. I'd rather see Wes Morgan and Robert Huth and then put their boots back on for the last game.
Yeah, definitely.
JML says, yeah, the Ipswich game is for Vardy. Nobody else in there. Sean says, I will go. Leicester till I die. Which is fine, Sean. Nathan says, I think the owners do care. I think they do care, Nathan, as well. I'm not particularly calling top in that. He says this season has been a massive disappointment, but lessons need to be learned and we must look forward. Been a Leicester fan for 40 years and I'll continue to be a supporter. If people don't care, don't turn up in there. But the thing is, I'd just say to that, I do care. But that's just my debate is, do I just have a little stomp out and not go.
How many more times have we got to say lessons have got to be learned, though? Wasn't there supposed to be an internal review the last time this happened, when we went down under Dean Smith? Weren't lessons learnt then? I don't think they were.
I mean, Ross says here, Nick, this again is Ross says might as well play the youngest, as some of the first team players don't want to play for the club anymore. I couldn't agree more.
I've been saying it for weeks. I'd like to see Monga come in, Jake Evans come in. You know, we should be treating these last, well, including what we've just gone through against Wolves, we should be treating this as a pre-season. You know,
Yeah.
blooding these youngsters in, getting some minutes under the belt. You know, let them get the feel for what it's like for a proper game of football, not the under-21 league or whatever they're in. You know, but Rude won't do it. He's probably been told to pick those IUs and Dakova Reeds and all that lot.
Ian's making me chuckle here. He says, don't forget we're saying goodbye to Danny Ward as well. To be fair, he knows how to save a penalty. Imagine if Danny Ward was offered a new contract. Because let's face it, Nick, Hermansson's probably going to go, isn't he? But imagine they say, good news, we've given Danny Ward an extension.
Oh, it's too early for scary dreams, Phil.
Yeah.
No.
No, it can't be. Tony says we might as well play the youngsters. Next 2 home games are championship fixtures next season, which he's right about. Southampton and Ipswich. Wayne, good evening, Wayne, says Groundhog Day all time. That's what this season felt like, Wayne. Certainly since Rudes took over. 17 defeats out of 19. No home goal. I mean, God, a reason to go on Saturday is to see a home goal potentially. If we're ever going to score a goal this season, it's got to be against Southampton. Maybe.
I don't know, mate. But Southampton have been, since they binned off their other manager that they replaced Martin with, they've actually picked up a little bit of form. If anything, I don't see us getting goals, let alone a win against Southampton. If anything, I think Southampton will win. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I said to Reedy earlier today, Nick. What happens if we actually do lose against Southampton?
Well, nothing really. We're all 3 of us are relegated as Southampton and Ipswich. But nothing will happen because we're all calling for Rude to go. And like the comment said earlier on, it's Groundhog Day. You can probably pick the team that you picked against Wolves will start against Southampton.
Yeah.
It's so, honestly, it's just like that comment was spot on. It is Groundhog Day. You don't need to look at his phone because at 2 o'clock or 1:45 now, you know what 11 he's going to pick. It's so obvious.
Ross says here, the academy player scored 3 goals in 5 minutes against Southampton on Saturday. Then does mean last Saturday, he says. But Anne says get the youngsters on indeed. But we've been saying
he won't play them. That's the thing. We all can say get the youngsters in. We're saying it right now, you and me, Phil. We want to see Monga, Jake Evans, etc. We want to. Ruud van Nistelrooy will not pick those players. Don't believe a word he's saying.
Well, Gary says same team as ever. Nick, listen. I've said I'm available. Look, I've got my full kit on. I'm ready to play.
Yeah.
I'm rubbish and old.
Hey, you probably got more pace than Vestergaard at the back.
Well, where is Vestergaard? Nick,
he's probably walking his dog.
Winks? How can we be sat here debating games when you won't play the youngsters? You got Harry Winks and Vestergaard not even in the squad. Nobody, I ask it every week, where is Edouard? He may be rubbish, but nobody has. I've asked the people at the BBC, I've asked people on this.
Edouard's in the lockup.
Where is Edouard? Is he still alive?
He's in a cupboard locked up in Seagrave somewhere until his loan period ends, because we won't see him.
But do you
Winks
know
is
what I mean?
babysitting and Vestergaard's walking his dog around the lake.
Edouard the club may look at Edouard and go, he ain't very good. But when we've lost 17 games out of 19, when we haven't scored at the King Power since December the 8th, How bad? I mean, if Patson Daka can get a game, Edouard must be like playing some donkey from Sunday League. But his credentials that he played at Celtic and he played at Palace show you that he may not be the best ever player, Nick, but he's got something there because we paid 90 grand a week. He must be. I mean, God, if you're at the bottom of the league like we are and can't score a goal, and Daka can't, and even Vardy can't, at what point do you not go, well, give Edouard a chance? What have we got left to lose?
Oh, I don't know, mate. The Edouard deal is the biggest scam going. Ugh, it's up there scam wise. It was getting 80 million from Maguire all those years ago, to be fair.
Well, yeah, although you say that, Maguire's obviously played well for England for a long time. He still plays for Man United week in, week out. And look that's happened to them. Tony Smith says here, Nick, Winks, Vestergaard, Edouard is £250,000 a week in wages and not even in the squad. And again, this is why I come back to what Aggie was saying, is that's £250,000 a week. And again, I'm going to do it now, here on here, Nick. I'm going to work that out on my phone. Here we go. Because I haven't done this one. £250,000. You can see it there. Let's divide that by the average price of a season ticket.
Yeah.
500.
Yeah.
That's 500 fans every week, season tickets, are paying for those three players' wages who aren't even in the squad, and yet all three are fit. That's 500 people who will watch this video every week, pay those wages, and the players aren't even in the squad, and some of them don't even have to turn up on match days. No. That's why I'm at the point where, with football, with Leicester City, with what's going on, I'm not sure why I should go on Saturday and care.
Why did we ever go away from our old model where we'd scour the leagues, when we had Steve Walsh Sr. doing our scouting for us, and we'd find the little gems and stuff tucked away in Europe or wherever. I mean, let's not forget, we found players like Riyad Mahrez for £750,000, sold him for 60+ million. Kante wasn't a lot of money in real terms. Okay, granted, he had a 30 million buyout clause, but we still made a profit. Maguire wasn't too much money, sold him for 80. We went through all of that to signing journeyman donkey men from clubs like Crystal Palace that don't even want those players. And, they're at the time they're scouring down at the bottom of the Premier League, and we're buying their cast-offs. Alarm bell should be ringing when you're doing stuff like that, surely.
Yeah. 500 season tickets per week to pay for those three players' wages who don't even make the squad is just an outstanding world we're in now. Don't blame the players, says Ian. It's the director of football and the club offering the deals. Ian, you're quite right to an extent. If somebody wanted to offer Nick crazy money, you, Ian, me money, we would all take it. I get that. You do have to look at the management and running of the club 100%, Ian. It needs to be sorted. Whether they need additional help, whether they need personnel need changing or bringing in, or people are trying to run too many jobs.
Rudkin's spreading himself too thin. He's got about 4 or 5 different roles in the King Power operation. Surely it should be one person focusing in on Leicester City, and that's it. Not OH Leuven, not the horse racing side of King Power, not this. How can he give his full attention to Leicester?
Michael says here it's the weirdest club run on the planet. And Michael, I'm going to just give you, Michael, and everybody watching this, and Nick, a stat. Now, this shirt, what's that remind you of?
FA Cup, Yuri Tillemans.
FA Cup, Yuri Tillemans. That was May 2021. We won the FA Cup. I think if my math is right, we won the FA Cup May 2021. We also finished 5th in the Premier League for the 2nd year running. Both years we should have qualified for Champions League. So that's May 2021. In May 2021, Nick, Wrexham were in the 5th tier of English
Yeah, they
football,
were.
and they finished 8th. They did not get promoted when we wore this shirt and Yuri Tillemans won us the FA Cup and we finished 5th. The next year, May 2022, we finished 8th, but we went deep into Europe. We finished in a European semi-final. That's May 2022. It's about to become May 2025 and we're playing Wrexham next season.
Yeah.
3 years we've gone from a European semi-final to playing Wrexham.
But let's be fair, Phil. When we had Brendan Rodgers in charge, we played Nottingham Forest in an FA Cup at the City Ground, got absolutely pummeled, and he comes out in his press conference saying we need a rebuild. Has the rebuild happened? No. You know, we put plans in for the stadium expansion that would help PSR in the long run. Has anything been done on it? No. You could keep going on of all these false promises and false starts that we've had in the last 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
It's just it's one thing after another, and something's got to change. Whether it is getting rid of Rudkin, because it was interesting with Vardy's video that Rudkin was the only one he didn't thank. He thanked Susan Whelan, he thanked Top and Vishai, etc. He didn't thank Rudkin. I think that tells you everything you need to know just there.
Well, like you just said, Nick, Andy says how right was Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, he was.
That after that FA Cup game, which at the time was one of my all-time lows. I've gone much lower this season than that.
Yeah.
But that day when we lost 4-1 at Forest, the players genuinely didn't give a monkeys that day.
No.
That was the first time I'd seen it. And we said it, you can watch the videos back. I said they didn't care on the pitch. I remember at 3-0 down, I was sat very low down behind the goal. And Danny Ward, it was in goal that day, he'd already let 3 in and we were just pathetic. They actually shot one just past the post and Danny Ward had to walk past the post and come and pick the ball up very close to the Leicester fans. And fans were saying, sort it out. And he just gave us the shrug and the look and the like, what do you want? And I was like, did he just really do that? And he did. And that was the first time I seen it. And I think that malaise has been in the club ever since, and it's only got worse.
It's been in there for years. You know, this is why when we do get a new manager, I hope they've got some sort of backbone behind them, you know, in the mould of a Pearson where he won't take no rubbish. You know what I mean? He'll kick them up the backside. I don't necessarily want Sean Dyche. I don't like the way Sean Dyche plays football, but I want a manager that will stand up and hold them accountable and stuff. I mean, let's be fair, when we had Pearson in charge, if he didn't think the players were playing right, he would throw them under the bus.
Yeah.
He would, you know, and he demanded the respect, and that's what we need.
I was just talking about Wrexham, and Michael's just made my day even worse with this comment. I remember I was saying 4 years ago, Wrexham were in the 5th division, and we were 5th in the Premier League. Michael has just said Wrexham could be Premier League next season. We could be League One.
Yeah.
I don't think we will go down, but blimey, I hadn't even thought of that one, Michael.
Oh, we'll be on Disney Plus anyway, so you and Reedy might, and the rest of the lads might be on Disney Plus and stuff when the film cameras are all there.
Oh, you never know. Listen, Nick, thanks so much for clicking in as ever. It's been great to get your views in.
Yes, mate. It's nice to speak to you. And there you go.
See you soon. Thanks so
Take
much
care.
to Nick. Take care. Thanks, Nick, for so much for all his comments. Thanks for all your comments. Yes, Aggie. Well done to Aggie. We may not agree on everything to do with Leicester, but well done to Aggie. He's won. He guessed that we asked the question, thanks to our pals at Pucker Pies, what shirt number did Anthony Knockaert wear for Leicester? What squad number? And it was number 24. And obviously, talking about the days at Forest, the bad day of the 4-1, I do remember the Knockaert, Allez Le Bleu, and all that. That's when it all started to go good. We need to get back to that. I'm sure we will. It's a roller coaster, like we always say. It's just, it needs a change. And I hoped after getting relegated, we'd see a change, but it's not. It's just more of the same. Anyway, I'll see you at the King Power on Saturday. We'll probably all be there. We've all renewed. Most of us have, not everybody. But it is just a very, very tough time getting through it. Last couple of comments. Aggie says, looking forward to going Wrexham, never been there. I'd rather be going to Old Trafford or Arsenal or the Etihad. I really would, rather than Wrexham. But I get it why some fans are quite excited about going to Bristol City away and QPR and that. It's not for me. I've done enough of that. I'd rather just stay. I'd rather be fighting top 8, top 5, like Bitch Eye's dream was. Anyway, listen, everybody. Thanks for all your views, all your comments. I'll see you at the match.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.